So first, I would like to thank everyone for joining today. It sounds like we've got quite a lot of people from all over the world, so that's really exciting. I'd also like to thank 101 Blockchain and Aviv for inviting us to participate. This is a real honor, and we're really excited. So not that long ago, the idea of CBDC was actually a rather obscure notion that garnered little attention. Initially, the research on CBDC was largely academic and mostly focused on the potential implications it could have on monetary policy and financial stability. Then of course came the announcement of Facebook's Libra project in June of 2019. So this event caused a rather seismic shift within the central bank community regarding CBDC. No longer was this idea simply a thought experiment. So today, we're going to spend some time learning about central bank digital currencies, and specifically focusing on the link between the public and private sectors, better understanding how digital currencies can help improve access to financial services, as well as discussing issues around interoperability and compliance. I should also point out that our focus today will be on retail CBDC, as we are going to primarily focus on the impact for end users. But much of the discussion can also be applied to wholesale CBDC as well. So as Aviv mentioned, we're going to have 4 lessons that should take about an hour, and then we will have Q&A at the end. So today's agenda will cover 4 specific lessons. The first will provide an overview of the current situation. The second lesson will discuss numerous use case scenarios. The third lesson will focus on the challenges related to interoperability. And finally, the 4th lesson will be on a compliance risk management. And as I mentioned before, at the end, there will be some Q&A. So please make sure to, as Aviv mentioned, if you have any questions, please just start putting them in the Q&A tab, and we will make sure to get to them as best we can. So, before we begin, perhaps just a quick note about myself and my colleague, Jay Ramaswamy. So both of us have spent a considerable amount of time in the public sector and before joining C Labs to work on the Cello platform. So as for myself, my name is Ezekiel, but I also go by Zeke, which you might have heard Aviv call me, which is probably a lot easier than Ezekiel. But so, as for myself, I was at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York for many years, managing the US government's Japanese yen portfolio. And then I switched to the domestic side, where I was the liaison between the Federal Reserve and the US Treasury's Office of Debt Management. After leaving the Fed, I went to work for the World Gold Council, where I helped central banks all over the world manage their gold reserves. Now, I'm focused on engaging with central banks all over the world that are interested in digital currency technology. As for my colleague Jay, he will be joining us later as he unfortunately had a scheduling conflict, but I will just give you a bit of a brief background for him as well. So Jay brings with him a wealth of legal knowledge and expertise. Jay spent over a decade at the Department of Justice, including as the chief of the Asset Forfeiture and Money Laundering Section, and as an assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. Jay has also held similar roles focusing on enterprise risk management, anti-money laundering, and compliance in the private sector with Capital One and Bank of America Merrill Lynch. And Jay will be joining us later to lead this last session on compliance risk management. I would also like to take a quick moment to highlight some of the amazing work on CBDCs and digital currencies that are being done throughout the official sector. The amount of work and attention on CBDCs has exploded lately, and new reports seem to be published daily. In fact, I think I saw a new one out by the Bank of Spain. There's just so much out there. We're going to try and touch on a little bit of it, but certainly this is not an exhaustive session. But people like Raphael Auer at the Bank for International Settlements, John Kiff at the International Monetary Fund, and Ashley Landquist at the World Economic Fund are just a few of the experts that spring to mind. And there are many, many central banks that are releasing their own reports and even starting their own pilot projects from all over the world, whether it's China, Sweden, the Bahamas, There's just too many, honestly, to name. But hopefully, this list here will give you a good start. And I know that both John and Ashley maintain exhaustive lists of publicly available research. So I would certainly recommend that you check out their resources as well.